Long down the right side. Caught. Touchdown, Washington State.
Long three.
What a catch by Phillip. Bobo.
The Palouse is going to pop.
All right, we're here live at the CougsFirst QB Classic. We're here with Paul Sorensen. Paul, how you been?
I'm good, Drew. How are you, man?
I can't complain out here in the Palouse. So I got to ask, what do you think the golf game's going to look like today?
I suck, but you know what? It's a team thing, and that's the essence of what team's all about. That nice part about this thing, it's a scramble.
Yeah.
So you don't have to be a good player. You just have to occasionally contribute, and that's what we do. We sit out there and we bust each other and we have fun, and what we're doing is we're raising money for a great cause, and you know, CougsFirst has been such an outstanding organization, and the things that, you know, people can look at for Cougar-owned businesses,
Yep.
This is a great way to go. And
Yep.
and we get a chance to come back and play a beautiful course, see the players of now, and I just look at them and go, God, I'm glad I'm not playing now, because I'd have to be like in the band or something. 'Cause, you know, everybody's pretty big and strong and fast, and I was slow and dumb and uncoordinated. So I guess that makes a difference.
Well, talking about the current team, you're going to the game, obviously, on Saturday. What are you looking for out of that spring scrimmage?
Well, to be honest, it's not going to be much of a scrimmage. It's
Right.
going to be more of a practice, and I like what Coach Jimmy's doing. And what he's doing is he's getting his team ready. There's going to be some portal things that they're going to have to address. Got to get a little bit bigger on the offensive defensive lines. You know, maybe another skill guy or two in there.
Right.
But this is the guts of the team moving
Yep.
forward. And what I've seen from this team, and I've watched enough at South Dakota State, being the radio guy for Eastern Washington.
Yeah.
You're going to see a physical football team at the point of attack. They're going to run the ball, tight end heavy,
Yep.
and they're going to have an RPO program, which when you have to stop the run, you get those safeties that start creeping up.
Yeah.
Guess what? That opens up the passing lane.
Yes.
So we haven't seen a legitimate running attack at Washington State in 15 years.
Yeah.
You're going to see one next year.
Oh, we're excited. I actually got to go to practice. I think it was last weekend, and watching our rollout passes actually get protection because the running game was so effective. It was really refreshing to see.
Well, and I think the difference between Matir and Zevi is Zevi, if you watch the Holiday Bowl, he would actually go through his read progressions.
Yep.
There was one play I remember specifically where he was scrambling, he looked left, looked down the middle, nobody open. He's starting to get pressure. He steps up in the pocket, and he throws the ball to the right side
Yep.
between two linebackers and a safety for a 20-yard gain. Matir never did that.
Right.
And that's what you get with him. He's
Yeah.
legitimately a quarterback that can read, and he won't have to read much here because you're going to have a lot more open space.
Right.
That's the key to this offense.
Yeah. Yeah. One other thing I love about Zevi is his ability to throw a touch pass. That's not always something a quarterback has. You know, everybody's got, and we've seen a lot of quarterbacks at Washington State that have the arm, but the ability to really put it where the receivers can go and make a play. We're excited to see
No,
that.
I completely agree with that. And the fact that he had 8,000 yards and 76 touchdowns at Bryant, he's had some experience. So it's
Yep.
not like he fell off the banana truck. You know, this dude can play, and I'm so happy for him. And Rodgers is going to be a beast there as well. He needs a little bit more maturation.
Yep.
But he's that big body guy that Coug fans are used to.
Yep.
You know, and the Drew Bledsoe and Mark
Yep.
Lippin, type mold. So
Yep,
very
absolutely.
excited
Yeah.
to see this program. Love this coaching staff.
Yeah.
And Coug Nation, come out and support this team because
Yeah.
they're going to be awesome.
All right, one last question for you here. I know you're busy with Eastern Washington football. Are you going to get down to Pullman for any games this fall?
I am, but it's going to be the Oregon State game at the end, unfortunately, because I
All
got to
right.
work.
There
But
we go.
I'm also going to go to Mississippi.
Oh, all right.
So I'm on a road trip.
Nice.
Never been to Oxford before. I've been to a lot of SEC, teams, but
Yeah,
always wanted to go there, and it's unbelievable.
I bet. That'll be awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us.
My
Really
honor.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yep, go Cougs.
Go Coug.
We're here at the CougsFirst QB Classic with Jason Gesser. Jason, how are you doing?
Doing good, man. It's always good to be back home.
Awesome. What are you up to these days?
So, raising a family, working,
Yeah.
what the normal average human does, right?
Yeah.
So, I'm working with Hub International right now. Just made a move over to that company. A commercial insurance broker. Been doing that for about 5-6 years now. And
Nice.
then raising kids. I have a daughter that's going to Montana State. She's a junior. I got a son who's a junior in high school. Who's a football, baseball guy. So,
Nice.
quarterback, pitcher, and
Yep.
another son who is coming up, 11-year-old fifth grader. So, just kind of plugging away, living life, and,
Yeah.
and trying to make things work,
Now, I see your boy is playing quarterback.
Yeah.
What's that like? Are you living vicariously through him? Do you wish you could strap it up again?
It's fun. I mean, I will say this because I'm coaching him as well too, so I help him out, and
Yeah.
I've been coaching him since he's been little, right?
Yeah.
So there's a different dynamic in that, and I've learned how to step back and
Yeah.
really this last year we had a really good run, got to the state title game and everything. And there are moments in there where I had to realize, hey, listen, this is pretty cool. We always have a warm up routine before every game where we throw the ball together and do this stuff, and so. rather than being coached so much and worried about the game and winning and all that stuff, I try to like take a step back once in a while and remind myself this is pretty cool. So it's been fun.
Awesome.
Yeah.
What parts of your game do you feel like he models? Are you guys different, similar?
Yeah. I would say that he's one of those guys that he's the general out there. He's the leader. He's the guy that making the right decisions, put the ball in the right guy's hands, making sure things go well. And that was kind of my game as well too. I scramble a little bit more than he does.
Yeah.
But I'll be honest with you, the offense we've kind of created around him. I've tried to protect him because he's a baseball guy as well too. So don't want him going taking unnecessary hits if he doesn't need to. But no, he's probably that general on the field.
Yeah.
Very accurate with his passes, and when a play needs to be made, he finds a way to make the play.
So that does beg the question: does he slide? Because I know that was one of your. If you had one fault, it was that you were getting killed out there all the time. Does he know how to slide?
I've never taught him, so he's probably learned from baseball, obviously, right? But he did slide. I will say this: with the new rules today and how things go, I freaking hate it. I don't want him to slide because if you slide, you're opening yourself up to getting a hit up top, right? So I'm like, if you're running, just go down, going forward, and then you don't lose those yards, right?
Exactly.
A lot of guys want to go, I got the first down, slide, and now you're bought back, and you're like, no, you're not. By the way, it's 4th and 1.
Exactly.
I never tell him to slide. Mom hates that, but I'm gonna say, hey, just go ahead first. You'll protect yourself more, whatever it may be. So, but no, he's been good so far. I mean, he probably took his biggest hit the other night in baseball. He took one to the dome. Right to the eye, so he's got a nice little shiner.
Holy smokes.
But yeah, so
that's awesome. All right, well, what's it like to be back here with some former teammates, former coaches? What's that like?
It's always good, right? I mean, we all have shared so much time here in Pullman and just place that we love, right? And great times together, so you get reminisce on all these games and whatnot. But to see guys and see where they're at now in life, I mean, guys like Coach Doba, guys like Mike Price, who I played for, those guys meant so much to me. I mean, Mike Price is like a second dad to me. Right? Yeah. So seeing those guys and making sure they're doing well and just being able to reminisce, that's the fun stuff. You know, and then obviously you have guys that like Luke. When I was working here, Luke and I were tied at the hip, right? Like we worked. I helped him out on the outside of football, just mentoring in a generalness area, right? And he just thrived, right? Yeah. And so seeing him, how he's doing now, he's going to the coaching thing. He's teaching guys the mental side of the game. Yep. It's great to see, right? Yeah. So it's just one of those things to where, when I was playing, Jack was coming back doing that for us. Bledsoe was coming back. Rip was doing that. So you always want to be able to do that for everybody else. And when you're able to have events like this, that's where it all collaborates and goes from there. So
yeah. Do you see any of those? I mean, obviously, when you talk about a Cougar quarterback, I think of toughness. I think of leadership. I think of poise under pressure. What do you see in Zevi that makes you think he might be one of the all-time greats?
Well, I mean, you go back to the game that he played last year, right? Yeah. You see what he did in that bowl in the last game, and so that's when you have that kind of pressure when you get thrown in there and the scenario is not the best, right? You got to find ways to make things happen. Yep. In my opinion, you make good decisions and you find a way to make it happen as a quarterback. He has those, right? And so that's where I think people are excited about for him and where he has those capabilities of making something big for us here at Washington State. So it's going to be fun to watch.
Love it. Yeah. All right, one last question. We're going to take you back. Time machine. Right. 2001, 2002, obviously both great seasons at Washington State. Yeah. What's the one game that to this day still stands out to you?
Yeah, it's a pretty simple one for me. I mean, there's moments, but the game that I've always kind of reminisced on or loved is that UCLA game where we clinched to go to the Rose Bowl. That was one of those games to where my leg was messed up and I could barely move and for whatever reason, athletics and sports is so weird of when you're gonna find your groove in your game. And that game I felt like calling plays wise because Mike Price would give me a lot of freedom as well as executing the plays. Besides that first couple of drives, it was just one of those things to where I could put the ball where I wanted to put the ball. We could do whatever we wanted to them on offense. And in that setting, with all of our fans there to go and clinch in the style that we did, that was probably, the pinnacle in that moment in that game where I'm always going to, reminisce on. So.
Doing it on one leg too isn't too shabby. Did you feel it during that game or was it just
you're shot up and there's so much stuff adrenaline going through your body. You don't feel it. Yeah. Yeah. I think there was one where Coach Price got really pissed off at me as I was under some injectional influence, if you want to say whatever that is, right? So I flipped the one of the plays, and so I threw a pick six, and it was like first series, second series, whatever it was. And as I threw it, I'm pissed. So I'm trying to go chase him down to get him, right? And then as I make him cut back, I get folded over, and I felt it there. And I got to the sideline, and Mike Price, like, he was pissed, right? He's like, "What the hell are you doing?" I was like, I flipped the play in my brain. He's like, "No, why are you even chasing the guy?" I'm like, "Coach, no, I'm pissed." But anyway, so it was all good after that. But
that's awesome.
No, it was one of those things when you're playing, man, and you're in those moments. All that stuff kind of seems to fade away, and you're trying to find a way to make it happen. You know.
Well, you got us into the Rose Bowl that year with that win, and really
fun.
Appreciate all you did for Washington State. So.
I appreciate it, man.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much.
Of course. Go Cougs. Yes.
We're here at the CougsFirst QB Classic with legendary coach Bill Doba. How are you doing, sir?
Doing well. For 84s, I can still remember my name.
There we go.
But I've had 2 hips replaced, the knee and the shoulder. I got one more knee and one more shoulder to go. And I told the kids when I die, make sure you do an autopsy, get all that good metal up.
That's awesome. Now I know
it's a pleasure and a thrill for me to come back to Pullman. If I didn't have family back east in the South Bend area, I would have never left here.
Yeah,
it's a great place, great school.
Yeah, what's it like to be back here with your other coaches and former players? And
I don't want to disappoint you, but the only person I know back here are the 2 equipment guys and Sean Dees.
All right,
that's gone.
What about Coach Price, Levy?
I saw Bryce and Levy.
Yeah.
But that's about it so far.
Yeah.
And then I saw one other. There was a player, and I can't remember his name. How about that?
Well, yeah, I know you talked to Coach Rogers last night about bringing back the Palouse posse.
Right.
What do you think the biggest key to that defense was, and what does Coach Rogers need to do to build a similar defense?
Recruit good players.
Yeah.
Period. You know, we had that group. We led the nation in total defense, scoring defense, second in rush, and 5th in pass. But 9 of those starting 11 went on to the NFL. Not all of them. They all didn't make it.
Right.
Mark Fields did pretty good.
Yeah.
In fact, he ended up being the highest paid linebacker in the NFL way back then, and went with the Saints for making $36 million.
Wow. Yeah.
But he was as common and as nice, and he was just a regular guy. He's good people.
Yeah.
But they all got the first ever. They all stayed in the summer. Now everybody does.
Right.
But that whole group of guys stayed in the summer. And back then, they couldn't go to school. Now they can still take classes, and
right.
And some of them worked while they were there.
Right.
But they were a dedicated group, and I became a really good coach.
Come on, you got to take some credit for it, right? I know that your play call.
Lennon Zeller had all these other guys.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah.
It took all of us, but basically Zimmer had been the coordinator. I took over after that, and all I did was simplify it.
Right. What was your favorite defensive call when you were calling defensive plays?
Coug
4. All right. Is that house blitz?
No, that's just base.
The base. Okay.
And no, we call some, 3 or 4 blitzes.
Yeah.
But it was fun.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Well, I'll tell you, Vince Young and the Texas Longhorns didn't know what to do with that house blitz.
Well,
they were coming after him all night.
That was Akey. Akey was the coordinator. He called we had like 4 blitzes. I don't think he ever called Coug 4.
He never called the base.
No. Thank God. Thank God.
Well, awesome. Thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us. I really appreciate it. And go Cougs.
Thank you. Good luck.
We're here at the QB Classic with Luke Falk. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks, guys.
Awesome. What are you
My
up
mic
to?
all right here? Is it all good?
What are you up to these days?
I'm doing mind strength coaching. So I was in college coaching. I'm out of that right now. But I always tell people you go to the weight room, you get strong physically, you go work on your skills out in the field or the court. But what are you doing to strengthen your most valuable asset?
Right.
So for me, I was fortunate enough to meet a mental performance coach my senior year of high school.
Yeah.
And, I went from a kid that lacked a lot of confidence, had a lot of performance anxiety. I actually even thought that you couldn't get more confident, that you were born with it or you weren't.
Right.
And no, this guy said, no, that's not the case. It's just like your body. You can train on it properly. And after doing the skills and principles over a period of time, I started experiencing breakthrough after breakthrough, and a lot of them happened up here on the Palouse.
Yeah.
And now the unfortunate part for me is when I got to the NFL, I didn't continue working on my most valuable asset. So I had a short career, right?
Yeah.
I allowed trappings of success and a poor negative environment around me. But, I think things happen for a reason. So now I'm in a position where, I'm feel like I'm destined to be. And what I'm doing now is helping athletes, coaches, or anybody I interact with unlock their full God-given potential through strengthening their most valuable asset, which is their mind.
That's awesome.
That's a long-winded answer.
I love it.
Basically, I have a lot of fun.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. That's definitely something that made you, I think, the quarterback that you were at Washington State and drew people into you as a leader, is the fact that you were confident out there. You were poised under pressure. Didn't matter if you were in Autzen Stadium and you had people yelling at you.
Fun times right there. Yeah. I always joke, it's like, I probably had about the slowest 40 time the Palouse has ever seen. I had a noodle for an arm, but thankfully I was able to work on mind strength.
Right. Well, when we talked a little bit about the Oregon game, when you think about your career at Washington State, is there one game or one moment that still stands out to you to this day?
Yeah, that Oregon game, really, I mean, we were talking about that 2015 season. That was the most fun I've ever had.
Yeah.
And winning that game at double overtime when we were down 10 points with, 4 minutes left, and having a seemingly improbable drive.
Yep.
Golly, that's right at the top of the list. But there's a lot. And when I earned a scholarship, my first start, just our first bowl win. But really, so it comes down to the guys that I played with, the coaches that were here, and all the relationships. And those were a good time. But speaking of that Oregon game, that's actually, that final drive is kind of the introduction. I'm writing a book right now called The Mind Strength Playbook for Athletes and Coaches. So that should be coming. That'd be kind of a fun memory. Go down memory lane on that introduction there.
That's awesome. So how do you think you're going to play today? What's your golf game?
Pretty shitty. Yeah, pretty shitty. These guys will be like, "You're a mind strength coach," after that. But I always joke with people, I used to play a lot of golf, but then dad duty comes in, and that's way more important.
Yep, totally understand. Awesome.
Yeah,
well,
thanks guys. Yeah, appreciate it. Go Cougs.
Go Cougs. All right, we're here with M. Christo Bruce at the CougsFirst QB Classic. How you doing?
Good. I just almost dropped this mic. I almost fumbled it. I'm not even an offensive guy.
That's why you're a defensive guy, right?
BS. Because listen, I'm about as athletic as you get out here.
Yeah, why didn't they ever hand the ball to you back in the day? Come on. I mean, at least in goal line situations or something.
Listen, I played with some very good running backs.
You did.
So,
you did.
Man, Jermaine Green, you had Chris Brune, you had the Ghost.
Yep.
We even say
Jerome Harrison.
Yeah, so many good athletes.
Yeah, awesome. So what are you up to these days?
The ball.
Good point. So what are you up to these days?
So I have a mortgage company with Guild Mortgage, manage
Awesome.
a branch in Maple Valley, and my wife and I own a gym called the Buffalo Gym. So listen, if you want to get buff,
there we go.
We know how to put muscles on people.
That's awesome. Well, you had so many different memories from your time at Washington State, a game against Stanford where you had 6 sacks in one game.
It was 5.
5, okay.
I normally don't like, if you want to say 6, I got tired. I probably could have got 6.
So what, out of all of those memories, what's your favorite?
Man, there's honestly just too many. I mean, I think the biggest thing is like being here in Pullman, playing Apple Cups. I think golly, I can't even point one moment here in Pullman, or just
it can be anywhere. It can be anywhere. Just being a Coug.
Man, I think the Holiday Bowl victory was huge. Going down there and beating Texas in that Holiday Bowl was probably one of my best memories. And then getting those 5 sacks. I mean, it's something that's like record books,
Yeah, no, that was great. So I gotta ask, what does this year's defense need to do to get the Cougs to where we want to be this year?
Man, it's such a fascinating question. I think we're going to see a lot tomorrow in the spring game and just really understand what the depth looks like. But we need to get back to that 11 heads to the football and get pressure on the quarterback. You think historically we've had so many great pass rushers and defenses. So if we can get back to leading the pack, leading the league in sacks, I think that, or at least pressures, that's going to be a game changer.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can play in today. How's your golf game looking? Are you going to?
Listen, if you're not first, you're last. Something about Ricky Bobby. Really, I got a good squad though, so if I'm not doing well, they're gonna pick it up.
Perfect, awesome. Thank you so much for taking the time. I really appreciate it. Go Cougs! We're here at the CougsFirst QB Classic with Cougar legend Connor Halliday. How you doing?
I'm doing all right, man. Happy to be here and
bro, thank you for everything that you did, the videos, everything. You're damn good at what you do. Thanks, I appreciate it. How was hole 9 there? Yeah, hit a good drive. So I'm in the leader in the clubhouse for long drive. There we go. All right. When we birdied it, so we're doing all right. Not too shabby. Well, when you think about your time at Washington State, obviously you had record-setting games, big victories, huge upsets. What's the one that still stands out to you today, all these years later? Yeah, so I mean, to make it quick, I just when I got to Wazoo, we were bad. We were, if I'm just being honest, we were. Yeah. So it was a long road. So the win my junior year against Utah in 2013 that got us bowl eligible. Yep. And that was like a 55 to 49, 46 win. It was a big game. Yeah. So like getting there in 2010 or 11, to getting to that point, like with how much work it was. So definitely that win. Yeah, heck of a win too. I think you hit Dom over the middle. Yep. He took it down the sidelines to the house. That's awesome. So when you get back in Pullman, what are some of the things that you gotta hit? Yeah, you gotta hit Cougar Country. There we go. You gotta hit the Coug, and then on the way out to the golf course, the house I lived in is right out there. So I always kind of drive by that and take a look at it. I lived with Travis Long, and so a lot of memories there. But yeah, so Cougar Country and the Coug for sure. That's awesome. Out of all the Cougar legends that are here, who do you look forward to meeting and chatting with the most? Yeah, so anytime you get to see MK, he is awesome. Those might be the tightest shorts I've ever seen on it. Yeah, he said they're his wife's. So that's great. MK, Jason Gesser, Alex Brink. I mean, there's just so many guys out here. But I was just telling the Scott, the guy I'm playing with, my girlfriend went to UW, and so I've gone to a few of their things, and it's just there's nothing like Wazoo, and there's nothing like this family, so it's really cool. Yeah, we'll pray for her. That's yeah, right. Yeah. All right, we appreciate it. Go right, thanks, man. We're here at the CougsFirst QB Classic with starting quarterback Zevi Eckhaus. How you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you? Oh,
can't complain. Now I see this is your first QB Classic. What's it been like, meeting all the legends and being out here with so many former Coug greats?
Yeah, no, it's been amazing. Just being around all these guys who have, played here before me, put on the jersey and really, wore that jersey with some honor. Definitely, takes a step back and you really understand the pride that goes into, not only this place, but just the jerseys and the history that goes beyond, even my existence. Just having conversations with these people, like I said, who have been playing since before I was even born. Definitely a very grateful and humbling experience. So trying to take it all in, and just enjoy the moment. Yeah, that's awesome. What's it been like playing for Coach Rogers so far? Oh, it's been great. He's a hell of a coach. He obviously emphasizes a lot of things, and one thing he emphasizes is he's going to win games, and I'm really excited for that. I think Coug fans are excited for that. But yeah, it's been really good being under Coach Rogers thus far. Awesome. Well, we were at practice last Saturday, and one of the things that stood out to me was tight ends, running backs, and running the football. What can we expect out of this year's offense? Yeah, no, we're definitely going to run the ball, and we're going to run it well. The run game opens up the pass game. So, there are going to be moments when we got to pass the ball. There are going to be moments when we need to run the ball. I think the most important thing for us is just understanding the situation that we're in and, capitalizing and utilizing our skill sets to the best of our ability. So, whether that's passing the ball, whether that's or running the ball, at the end of the day, the only stat that matters is the win column. So whatever it takes to get a win, that's what we're all kind of on page for, and we're going to make sure it gets done in the fall. Absolutely. Well, one of the things I definitely notice about your game is your ability to put touch on the ball, to layer it in there past the linebackers. You did that a couple times in the Holiday Bowl. Is that something that you focus on working on? Is that something that you have pride in your game? Yeah, I feel like I try to emphasize or work on every type of aspect of my game, and I think that there's always room for improvement. I definitely continue to work on the touch ball, and there are moments when I try to work on driving the ball in there because there are going to be moments when both footballs are required. So I do think that I throw a pretty good touch ball, and I try to continue to work on that so it stays up to par. But yeah, you got to work on every aspect of the game, and it's good to use that at times because you definitely got to get over some defenders. Yeah. All right, last question here. Now I know as a player, you're supposed to say the next game's the most important, but when you look at next year's schedule, are there any that stand out to you that you're excited about? Yeah, there are plenty that I'm excited about. I think it'll be really cool, going down to Ole Miss and then a week later going down to Virginia. We get to host the Apple Cup this year, which is sick. Yeah. Because I wouldn't have had that experience, had I played last year. But yes, to your point, I'm excited for Idaho.
Exactly. Perfect. Awesome. Well, we appreciate you taking the time,
course.
and go Cougs.
Go Cougs. Go Cougs.
Thanks.